Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel, we take a look at our amazing school district.
That's right, and we just wrapped up one of our biggest band events of the year.
Plus, we show off our class's first year stories. And it's officially fall. Does that mean temperatures will drop? Nevaeh will have all the details.
All this and more coming up on our latest edition of Reel to Reel.
This is Reel to Reel going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome into our third live edition of Reel to Reel of the 2022-23 school year. I'm Dominic Martinez, a junior from Monterey.
And I'm Sam Kunkel, a senior from Lubbock High. Dom, on this edition of the show, we're going to tell some of our first stories of the new school year.
That's right, but before we do that, there are some awesome things happening around our district. And we start at Western Elementary as they had a huge celebration this week, as they went from an F-rated campus to an A-rated campus in just 3 years. No doubt, I see a reason to celebrate. Thank you to Coronado High School and Texas Tech Spirit Groups for joining them on this excitement. Sam, how cool is this?
It's really cool. And speaking of really cool things, recently, the Estacado Feeder Pattern came to celebrate some awesome accomplishments. Take a look at this amazing video from last Monday as they spent the evening at May Simmons Park celebrating the academic progress of the Estacado Feeder Pattern. And I must say, our district is just so awesome. Dom, I love seeing this.
I love seeing it too. Keeping it with our district, Constitution Day was in the past Saturday. And so this is a perfect transition to reflect back on last year's Constitution Day. Take a look at some of these pictures from Alderson Elementary, where last year they had a visit from Mr. Constitution. And look at the smiles on their face. That's something these students will never forget.
Anything with people dressing up in costumes, I am all in. Now, from Constitution Day to coffee. Over at Mackenzie Middle School, they welcomed their families to school with a beautiful cup of coffee. As you see here, the home of the Raiders treated their families to curbside coffee this morning, and I must say, that is just the perfect way to start a day.
And over at Central Office, 2 student groups from the Byron Myron Advanced Technology Center. We recognized the Board of Trustees meeting. Of course, this meeting took place last week, but these groups were honored for qualifying and competing their respective national competitions this summer. One for HOSA and the others for Skills USA. Congratulates them.
And before we show our first story of the newscast, let's continue our celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month as we recognize our 13 Hispanic principals across Lubbock ISD, thanks to these amazing leaders and everything that they do for Lubbock ISD.
Yes, thank you. Now let's transition to our first story of our newscast.
Sure thing. This past week, Lubbock ISD held the 39th annual Lubbock ISD Band Extravaganza, and I must say, it was a success.
That's right, and our very own Mist Award has a recap of that great event.
Last night, in front of a packed stadium, fans of music came together for the 39th straight year.
So we're at Band Extravaganza, which is a really cool experience we get to do every year.
All the middle schoolers and high schoolers come together and see each other perform.
We get to experience what it's like to be part of an actual marching band. So it's a really important experience for all the high school recruiting and the middle schoolers as well.
This year, 1,200 students from all over Lubbock ISD performed a wonderful music selection.
They're having performances, we're all playing together and just mixed up, just having fun coming together as a band.
Step by step, song by song, the band fans in the stands were able to see our students showcase their hard work and talents.
We're really excited about tonight. Band Extravaganza is an opportunity to, showcase all the hard work that the band kids have been doing since the beginning of August. Showcase where they are on their shows, on their productions, to give our middle school kids an opportunity to see what marching band's about, and just have a good time with our band family and all of our alumni to be able to come back and see what's going on.
And despite it being standing room only, people across the South Plains were still able to take part in the 39th rendition of Band Extravaganza, as the students and staff of Lubbock ISD TV broadcasted the event with our partners at Fox 34.
And the cool thing, we like to point this out each year, Mr. Anderson at Dunbar has been a director for every single LISD Extravaganza longer than any other band director. Mr. Anderson in his 39th year of teaching, 14th at Dunbar. Here is Cold Hearted.
But for our high school band students, this was an opportunity to see where they are in their show, as well as prepare for competition season.
Tonight was one of our better Band X performances. I was very, very, very pleased with how our kids did tonight. And one of the things everybody worries about is you do a marching band with a sound component. All of our sound worked and things like that. So we've got 4 weeks to prepare for contests now, and having this under our belts helps.
And for our middle school students, this was an experience that will last a lifetime.
I think this will be something that I will definitely take on and always remember. It's a very, very cool experience.
For Lubbock ISD TV, I'm Devin Ward.
Great story by Mr. Ward.
And speaking of great stories, we just got done producing our first news stories of the year.
That's right. We were tasked to do a story on extracurricular classes or something that we feel passionate about. And lucky for me, I'm super passionate about this next story. Let's take a look.
Theater to me is a very important part of my life, and many other people's lives, either being an escape from reality from some, and for others, it's just a fun school or out-of-school activity. But for Chris or Christopher Hensley, it is so much more. And him being the theater teacher and director of Monterey's theater class, it just shows his devotion to theater.
It feels great. I love my job. I'm very fortunate to work at my alma mater, Monterey High School, and to be in the position of theater director here, which is something that I've really always wanted to do ever since I was in high school.
And here is what he had to say about how he became Monterey's theater teacher, and the person motivated him to be that theater teacher.
Theater was something in my high school career that really gave me a purpose and gave me a reason to come to school, gave me a reason to do well in my classes, gave me something to look forward to after school. So I really feel like it was those moments in high school myself and with my director, Ray Newton, who was here 20 some odd years ago, that really told me that's what I wanted to do with my life. So I spent a lot of time just really following him and learning what he was doing, and he is now one of my good friends and mentors, so I think that's been a major calling on my life.
Mr. Hensley is more than just a director and teacher. He has plans for all of his students, and he expects so much from every single one of them. And he also has the plays that he has planned.
Very good, that's good. Wow, so we have a big season lined up. We have our fall musical, Sister Act, and that will be going up early in December. Before that, we have a couple of fall shows. We'll be doing Shipwrecked and Treasure Island with our varsity and junior varsity classes. And I honestly, I just expect our kids to come in and work hard and have fun and be friends. I think that we create an atmosphere where we have kids that may not necessarily get together, but after they work on a show together, they become lifelong friends, and it's almost like a family.
Now, for the final question that I asked Chris Hensley, is how he thinks the way he taught his students will affect them and how it will follow them in the real world near their future. And he went into great detail about how he feels about this.
I sure hope so. I try to focus more on the relationships with the students. I hope that they learn some stuff about theater, but I honestly, at the end of the day, I want them to know that there was a teacher here that cared about them and that wanted the best for them. So that's, at the end of the day, that's what's most important, is to just know that those kids have somebody up here that they can talk to and they can have someone that believes in them.
Thank you for the amazing theater students, for watching the rehearsals, and for doing an amazing job during said rehearsals. See you guys next time.
And thanks again to Mr. Hensley for telling us a story on one of my favorite classes.
Yes, now let's transition to another story. You know, we said earlier that this project could be over anything we want, over something extracurricular or something that we're passionate about.
Yeah, and Henry Stolzer is about to show us there's a small business here in town that he is super passionate about. Let's take a look.
The fact that you don't really have anything like this in Lubbock, especially record stores, because they're kind of a dying art nowadays. So having one that's been here for 42 years is just really cool. And the fact that there's just pretty much almost anything you can think of here, not just music-wise, but like movie-wise, game-wise, it's just as cool.
They got a good selection of Pokemon cards at a reasonable price, older stuff, newer stuff. Lets me get stuff from the newer sets without buying new packs and having to waste money that way. And I get to support a local business with a bunch of cool guys and a bunch of cool stuff inside the store.
This is my first time. But if I had to choose, I like how they got like in the game sets and sections and then the Pokemon cards.
Ralph's Records is just like any other media store in what they sell, but going to Ralph's is an experience. Seeing the neon signs and band posters while looking through walls of CDs and records is an experience like no other. Record stores and other similar specialty shops are too special to go the way of the wind anytime soon. And with how diverse Ralph's Records has become, it is far too ingrained in the culture and community of Lubbock to leave.
It's not like your average job. Like before this, it was, you know, your basic 6-7 hour job. You get a break in between, go home and you're miserable. But this one is just like, it's almost less like you're working and more like you're hanging out. There are aspects that are kind of like a job, but for the most part, I just come in, I'm just ready to talk with people, hang out, and it's just a good time.
Great story by Henry. You know, Mr. Ward says all the time. You can tell when someone is passionate about something if they made a story about it.
I completely agree. Now, let's transition to some sad news as we end the A block. The Lubbock ISD family is saddened by the loss of Lubbock pioneer T.J. Patterson.
Patterson was a prominent civic servant of the decades. In fact, Mr. Patterson was Lubbock's first African-American council member, a Vietnam veteran, and a community pillar.
And we are forever grateful for his leadership in our community.
Football practice starts early in the morning, but for Lubbock High's players, it begins before they even hit the field. For some of these players, it is just the start of their competition season.
And you have 3 lifts, squat, bench, and then deadlift, and you get 3 attempts at each lift. Get your score, you see where you're at, ranked in the region, see what you need to do to qualify for regionals, and after that, state. I mean, that's really all it is, business. We have a meet every month. You have time to grow, get stronger. Always have time to grow and get stronger.
Students say this would not be possible without Coach Paul Springer.
You know, he's been in our shoes before. Professionally, he knows what to do. He knows how to do it. He knows how to do it right. So we put a lot of trust in him. I mean, you learn from the best, train from the best. You're bound to be one of the best.
All this weight can put a heavy burden on these athletes' shoulders, but they've been trained to handle the pressure.
I gotta tell myself, who am I doing this for? I mean, not only myself, people who, you know, are looking out for me, my coaches who trained me so hard, my parents who drove so far to show up to me, to watch me lift 9 times. I mean, there's people there you gotta show up for. I mean, and it's like Coach Springer always says, big isn't strong, strong is strong, you know. That's what you're trying to show. I'm a little guy, but I promise you, I'm strong, and that's what I'm trying to show people.
Despite this dedication to the program and going on the 5th consecutive year of making it to state, these top athletes are without a letterman. For Lubbock ISD TV, I'm Micah Pappas.
Welcome back to Real to Real. Coming up soon, we have weather with Nevaeh and sports with Angel.
But first, let's continue to spotlight some of our first stories of the school year. And Dom, the story that we are about to show you, it's really cool.
Yes, it is. And Julius is about to show us there is a new student-led organization at Coronado High School.
At Coronado High School, there is a new student union, a black student union, and today I got the chance to interview some of the officers. I went and asked the president and the supervisor what made them want to start this organization.
So I actually had no part in starting it. I was approached by Izzy, our president, and he just kind of shared his vision with me and told me that this was something that meant a lot to him at a previous school. And I knew we had a BSU in the past, but our sponsor left, and so he had asked me to be the sponsor, and I said yes.
The reason why I started this organization is to marginalize black culture, black excellence, as well as just giving a place for black students in Coronado High School to have a place to feel comfortable, to express themselves, and just have fun and freely get in tune with their culture. It's like you gotta be.
Then we asked them what kind of changes that they hope to come about from Black Student Union.
To make people look different at us, to be apart from other people.
We also asked them what the future plans of Black Student Union were.
Something we've talked a lot about is having connections with the Black Student Association at Tech, just because they have an established community and a place to meet and things that they do on the regular that we would like to be a part of and learn from, and just kind of have them mentor us as we go through this year.
Also had to see what made Black Student Union so important to them.
To learn about our culture and also let everybody else learn about our culture, and not just blacks, other allies such as any other race.
Great job, Julius. I think it's really cool that the students at Coronado wanted to make a club happen, and then they made it happen.
I agree. And now let's move to my extracurricular activity. Dom, tell me, have you ever been to a Lubbock High School football game?
I have. Even though I go to Monterey, I have tons of respect for the Lubbock High student selection because they are loud and proud at any game.
That's right. And the people leading the charge on the cheers and chants, they are truly one of a kind. As football season begins to kick off, Lubbock High School unleashes their ultimate morale boosters, the Rough Riders. The Rough Riders have been described as something between a cheerleader and a mascot, having been a part of the game day tradition since the very beginning, always being seen creating hype with the cheer team and pom squad. The Rough Riders are notorious for their high energy throughout the entirety of the game, as well as pep rallies, somehow managing to keep an army of Westerners excited throughout hours and hours worth of chants and cheers. Loved by most students and staff alike, the Rough Riders are an integral part of Lubbock High's sports division and its history, representing the unique tenacity and never give up attitude that the Westerners show in every game. Sportsmanship, then victory. Go Westerners! Thanks, man. I somehow lost my interviews, but I think it still turned out pretty great. And speaking of great, we have some great stories from our class coming your way.
That's right. We are going to have multiple sports stories coming up your way. From the baseball and the softball diamonds to the quarterback and linebackers being great friends. We have a lot. And we will dive into the theater class at Coronado, as well as the pom squad from Monterey. And so, those are just a few things happening in the coming weeks, and I can't wait for that show. Hey Sam, did you know that yesterday was the official first day of fall? I did. Astronomical. Fall began at 8:04 last night, which means we might have some cooler days coming up. Maybe. Let's check in with Nevaeh as she is set with weather. Nevaeh, please tell me how some of the cooler temperatures are on the way.
Well, Dom and Sam, our days are still going to be hot, but our mornings are going to have that cool fall feel. Let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. Today and tomorrow are going to be our hottest days, with the highs in the low 90s, and the temps will dip a bit on Monday as the high will be 84. Now, let's go to our game day forecast. Coronado hosts Caprock tonight for their homecoming. If you're a fan of either team, drink plenty of water because before kickoff, it's going to be hot. But once the sun goes down, things will cool down, which means it'll be a perfect night for homecoming. Go Stangs! Up next, we have our extended forecast as we take a look into next week. We will have the high temps in the mid 80s, lows in the upper 50s. So guys, we don't have fall temps this week, but hey, this week is looking pretty promising with those mid 80s.
That's so true. I just can't wait until we're having highs in the 60s again, because that's real fall weather, but I'll take the cool down.
Me too. Thank you so much, Nevaeh. And there's still so much to come on the 3rd live edition of Real to Real. We keep it real with Mr. Ward.
But first, we head on over to the Sports Connection with Angel. You won't want to miss that next on Reel to Reel, only on Lubbock ISD TV.
Each and every class here at the Byron Martin Advanced Technology Center is unique in their very own way. But many people overlook the unsung heroes that bring many students to and from their respected high schools. And what do they do when they're not driving their bus waiting for the students? Well,
what are you doing here right now?
Just playing some cards. Killing the time waiting on the students to come out.
So, is this a pretty competitive table here?
It gets that way sometimes. It gets that way.
they gather here and happily spend their time playing cards, here at one of the tables in the front office. Now here's some insight from Miss Betty Smith.
Well, I look at it too as if you want a job, you want an adventure. This is the job. Because the kids makes it different every day. There's something that happens, some good, some bad, with the kids, and I enjoy it. I always just tell everybody that if they're looking for a job here, there's a couple of things. You need to love the kids and have patience. Those are the two main things you've got to have if you want to be a bus driver. Yeah. It's been a good one for me because I love the kids. That's what I've started this job for, is because I really love kids. At first, I wasn't sure that I was going to enjoy it too much. But after the first few weeks and I got into it, I really did enjoy the job. Yeah. And it's been a good one.
Welcome back to Real to Real. I'm Angel Boyd with your Sports Connection. They say the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. And for our Lubbock ISD teams, we're tasting the sweet taste of victory on and off the field. And it's just one of many examples. Coach Blaylock from Estacado posted this photo on Twitter saying, "One last thing from Friday. He is proud of his football players for taking care of the little things. Leaving the locker room just how they found it. Hashtag chess, not checkers. And coming from me, that's awesome to see." Keeping it on gridiron, we want to wish Coach Rod a very happy birthday. His birthday was back on September 20th, and tonight his Lubbock High Westerners take on Andrews Mustangs in Andrews. We wish them all the luck tonight in their final non-district game. And over to Hardwood. Coach Davis at Monterey had Plainsman legend John Washington come and pour into his team. Washington talked about discipline and building habits that will benefit them as a player, but even more as a future husband, father, and a man. That's big time, Coach. And if you didn't know, each individual Lubbock ISD high schools have created one big athletic Twitter account for each campus. Before, every sport at every school has their own account, but now it should be easier to stay up to date with all your sports on your campus. Just follow these new accounts on your screen. And here's our upcoming broadcast schedule for Lubbock ISD TV. Of course, we will have Camp Rock versus Coronado. Carson Ward and Mr. Ward will have the call on NFHS Network. And then the following week, Sweetwater will come to town on Friday, September 30th to face Estacado. Then on October 7th, Tascosa will come to town to face Monterey. And then finally, on Thursday, October 13th, Amarillo High will face off against Coronado. Now that we all know the schedule for the next broadcast, brought to you by Lubbock ISD TV, let's take a look at Monterey and their star running back, Jaden Hibbler, with Isaac Contreras, who has the story.
The state of Texas has over 100 high school football teams in the state, but one team, Monterey Plainsmen, has a special guy who they can always rely on. Number 12, Jaden Hibbler.
He's a well-versed player. You know, he can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he can, you know, run the ball obviously pretty well. And you know, that's probably his contribution to the team.
Jaden Hibbler has been Monterey's running back since he was a freshman and has over 1,000 yards accumulated from his 3 years being there. However, football to Jaden is much more than running the ball and scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, I've been playing football since I was about 5 years old. I've been growing up playing football. It's just been running through the family, and football, it just gets a lot of things off my mind. It just, you know, it distracts me from school, and it just gets my mind on football. That's it.
While many people may not see the connection Hibbler makes with his teammates and only see him as the one who carries the team, Hibbler has something different to say on the matter.
It's just, I mean, I wouldn't say I make an impact. It's just we all make an impact as a team. I mean, football is a team sport. You got to have 11 men on the field. You got to have 11 men to the ball at all times, and you just got to play as a team.
Thanks, Isaac, for that inside look on Monterey football team and Jaden Hibbler. And good luck to them today as they travel to fight against Abilene.
Thanks, Angel. And there's still more to come on this edition of Reel to Reel. As we wrap things up, Mr. Ward keeps the show going.
You won't want to miss that next on Reel to Reel, only on Lubbock ISD TV. Welcome back to Reel, only on Lubbock ISD. This week on Keeping It Real, I want to talk about the stories that we've just seen today. On the past 2 episodes specifically of Reel to Reel. As you see in this video that we have coming up, I want to say wow. The stories that have been turned in have simply been amazing. Traditionally in my previous years of teaching, we have not had this many great stories turned in this early into the school year. Most of the time, stories of this caliber are turned in way later in the year. But once again, like I've said over and over again, these students were well prepared for my class. They saw a few examples of how to tell a story, and they went and did it. The stories that they told, they were passionate about, and you could really tell. And that's why I tell my students all the time, if you care about the story, the audience can tell. And I hope you did today. But now, because of how good these stories are, this is the expectation moving forward. And the great news is we aren't done. We have only shown you half of the great stories that we've done so far, and I can't wait to show off the rest of them coming soon. Now that's me, Mr. Ward, keeping it real on live TV. I'll send it back to you, our team of 4 at the desk.
Thank you all so much. I think that's going to do it for our 3rd live show of the year.
Yes, it is. And we want to thank you for tuning in into the latest edition of Reel to Reel.
And we look forward to seeing you back next week as the afternoon class will be live telling you some of their great stories from the fair.
But until then, we hope you stay happy and healthy.
This has been a production of the students and staff at Lubbock ISD TV.